What is going on, guys? We have a very exciting day ahead because I am checking out a replacement vehicle for the E63S. Those of you who have been with the channel for a while have seen all of the amazing adventures I have gone on in the E63 and why I truly love the car so much. Thanks for being a long-term subscriber, by the way, and if you're not part of the Vehicle Virgins family yet, hit that subscribe button, turn the notification bell on because we've got some awesome videos coming your way. Now, the car I'm checking out today has a little bit of a bittersweet place in my heart. The reason being is I took delivery of this E63S in Germany in December of 2017. Took it to the Nürburgring, went all throughout Germany, and then had it shipped back to the United States. It was an incredible experience, and I absolutely loved my car. The only problem was, a couple months after I took delivery, Mercedes announces the AMG Gt63 four-door. I get to see it in the flesh at the Geneva Auto Show. It looks better, it has more power, it's more rare, and yeah, I was a little bit disappointed that I hadn't foreseen that coming. So originally, out of jealousy, I wasn't a huge fan of the car because I basically viewed it as an E63, but better. My lease on the E63S AMG ends in January, so it's time to start looking for a new car. I did a 24-month short lease so that I could flip into something else without any trouble at all. Cars I'm looking at, the BMW M5 Competition, the Porsche Panamera Turbo SE Hybrid that I just drove, which was freaking awesome, potentially getting a used Lamborghini Urus, bring a Lamborghini back to the family, and the AMG Gt63 four-door that we're gonna be driving today. All right, guys, I just pulled up to Mercedes-Benz of Arcadia, and the GT is right next to me. Let's go check this thing out. Rusnak Arcadia has an insane inventory of AMG Gt63 four-doors. That's why I had to come here and check it out. If you're in the market for one, or Mercedes in general, I've got a link in the description below to their website. I was gonna start the video off in a more scenic location, but seeing these two cars next to each other, I've gotta go over some of the visual differences so you can see them compared back to back. So the E63 AMGS, a very, very good looking car, really aggressive in the front end, but you can see next to the AMG Gt63 four-door, look at how much more visually aggressive that front end is. The nose kind of slants forward, whereas the E63 slants backward. Taking a look at the side profiles of the car, notice how sloping that rear roof is, giving it a coupe-like appearance, but with four doors. Then you come around to the back, and it actually looks very similar to the AMG GT's rear end, which is a very good thing, whereas this looks more like a traditional sedan. Now check this out, you'd expect the sedan to have more space in the back, but it turns out because of the hatchback styling, you actually get more space for luggage in the GT63. That is awesome. All right, let's hop in. Now, the first thing I noticed is the different positioning of the gear shifter. On the E63, it's this column-mounted shifter here, where you put it into drive, park, reverse. On the AMG Gt63 four-door, it's just like on the AMG GT, and it is down here. Throw it in reverse. Up pops that beautiful backup camera, and off we go. The way the front windshield slopes and just the overall vibe of the interior feels a lot more like a true sports car than the E63 does. Can't wait to put this thing through its paces. Found a good place to pull over. Let's get some beauty shots of this thing. The specialness of the AMG Gt63 lies in its DNA. You see, it was built from the ground up as an AMG car, meaning there are no compromises to performance whatsoever. That compares to the E63, which started life essentially as an E300. It was built on a platform that has to be used by families and people who don't necessarily want a car that's going to tear your face off. But that's why this is so cool. What I want to find out though, is it worth the price premium over the E63? You see, the E63 starts at $106,500, comes with 603 horsepower and 627 pound-feet of torque. The AMG Gt63 four-door starts at $139,500 for the non-S. If you want the S trim, that'll cost you $159 grand. So is it worth the premium over the E63? That is what we are going to find out today. But for reference, the Panamera Turbo SE Hybrid that I recently reviewed starts at $186,000 and pushes well over $200,000. The exterior of this car is absolutely breathtaking. It's built on a modified version of the E63's chassis, although the overall length of the car is 2.8 inches longer and 1.8 inches wider. It's just got a better stance than the E63. Looks more aggressive in the front. The side profile is swooping. It has frameless windows, and they pull off the coupe sedan look so well. In my opinion, this is a better looking car than the M5, the E63, or the Panamera Turbo. Arguably the most important part of any AMG car is the motor. In this car, the base model non-S, we've got the 4-liter twin turbocharged V8 from the E63 and many other modern day Mercedes that pumps out 577 horsepower and 590 pound-feet of torque. It's good to hit 60 miles an hour in 3.3 seconds, which matches Mercedes' claim for the E63S, although we've seen the E63 can do sub 3 seconds, so I imagine this can as well. For those who want more power, there is the Gt63S. That's got revised ECU tuning that gives it 630 horsepower and 664 pound-feet of torque. That's a lot. 0 to 60, 3.1 seconds. Oh yeah, and it also sounds fantastic. Listen to this. The non-S model comes standard with 19-inch wheels, although can be upgraded all the way to 21s as fitted here, and they look absolutely phenomenal. The car is, of course, all-wheel drive, and when fitted with the right packages, has race mode and drift mode, and in drift mode, it actually has a variable all-wheel drive system that sends all of the power to the rear wheels for smoky burnouts and drifts. This mode is a ridiculous amount of fun, and I've played with it in my E63 a heck of a lot of times. One thing that the Gt63 has that the E63 doesn't is rear wheel steering. This is incredibly helpful in parking lots as well as on the racetrack. Part of the reason why this car is so quick around the Nürburgring, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the rear wheel steering actually allows the rear wheels to turn in the opposite direction of the fronts, virtually shortening the wheelbase and making it more nimble. At higher speeds, the rear wheels turn in the same direction as the fronts, virtually enhancing the wheelbase and making it more stable for high-speed cornering. Let's go around back. As I said before, the rear of the AMG Gt63 four-door looks very similar to the coupe variant, which is a good thing. Now, if you opt for the aerodynamics package, you also get a stationary large rear wing to let onlookers know this car means business. If you don't get the aerodynamics package, you get an adjustable spoiler that actually has multiple different positions. Along with the aerodynamics package, you get bigger side skirts as well as a more aggressive front fascia. It's starting to rain now, so I think it's time to hop into the interior. Let's take a moment to talk about these seats. On my E63, I decided to go with the AMG Sport seats, which they look fantastic, but they are not comfortable whatsoever. Despite the fact that this chassis is stiffer and the car has less body roll than the E63, it feels more comfortable in comfort mode because of how comfortable these normal seats are. They also have massaging functionality as well, which the Sport seats don't. If you're going to be daily driving your Gt63, definitely get the standard seats. They are awesome. All right, let's hop in the back. The rear seat space is actually a lot better than I anticipated. Obviously, this is a 4-seat layout compared to a 5-seat layout in the E63, but I've got plenty of legroom, plenty of headroom. I even have the wireless charging area, 2 USB ports, and some cup holders. Now, if you opt for the executive package, you get this really cool center console that extends to the back, giving you 2 captain's chairs that make it feel more, well, executive. As the package says, you get wireless charging, extra outlets, and an LCD display. You also get heated and cooled cup holders. which is pretty cool. All right, let's hop back in the front. While the interior does look very similar to the E63s, there are some key differences. One, we've got these turbine-looking vents that look absolutely fantastic. We've got some new graphics for the tachometer that look beautiful. We've got different settings. We're in Super Sport right now. We can go down into Sport or down into Classic. I say we do Super Sport. Now, the main difference is actually down here, and I absolutely love this layout. Very similar to the Amg Gt, we've got the buttons situated like a V8. 4 controls here and 4 controls here, and they have haptic touch feedback. This is the controller to select different driving modes. That's race mode right there. Here is a button to change the gearbox setting into manual. Then we've got the suspension controls as well as traction control. And then over here, we've got the active rear spoiler. If we want to put that up, the exhaust. Make sure this is always red. That's loud mode. That's the best mode. Stop start, which I wish didn't come on these cars, and the volume control. Another big difference is this massive touchpad here that you can use to control the infotainment screen as opposed to a wheel. One of my favorite parts of the interior is the new steering wheel. It is absolutely fantastic, feels great in your hands. It's Alcantara at 9 3 when you hold it, and then it's got carbon fiber at the tops and bottoms. The controls look a heck of a lot more premium. Honestly, the steering wheel on the E63 isn't all that great. But one thing you need to option, which this car doesn't actually have, is the AMG Drive Control Unit that costs $400. That actually puts a dial here and here to control the drive modes instead of having to click down here for the car. I just think it looks really cool, kind of like a Formula One style steering wheel. As you'd expect with the gorgeous dual 12.3-inch screens, the actual graphics are incredible. The interface is super easy to use, and check this out. We actually have a linkage of the climate control systems, the seats, and the ambient lighting. This is warmth mode, there's vitality mode, enjoyment, and there's even a training mode that allows you to have a little workout. It gives you step-by-step instructions in the seat when you're stopped. The ambient lighting, there's 64 different colors to choose from, is one of my favorite parts of the interior of new Mercedes. It makes the cabin feel upscale and luxurious in a way that you just don't get without that interior lighting. But now it's time to take this thing out for a drive. The performance of sedans nowadays is getting absolutely out of hand, especially around the track, and the Amg Gt63 4-door is the king of them all. It holds the record for fastest sedan around the Nürburgring with a time of 7 minutes and 25 seconds. For reference, that's 20 seconds faster than the E63. Part of the reason being stiffer chassis, that rear wheel steering, and of course its DNA. It was built from the ground up as an AMG car. The crazy part is that's actually only 15 seconds slower, so it's closer in performance to the AMG GTR than it is the E63. So it's literally the perfect combination between the E63 and the AMG GTR. From behind the wheel, even at lower speeds, you feel the difference between this and the E63. The steering feels a little bit tighter and heavier. It actually feels almost identical to the GTR, and because we have that rear axle steering, it's so nimble for the initial turn-in. Of course, the car sounds absolutely fantastic. It's been fitted with the AMG Sports exhaust, which is a mandatory option in my opinion. You gotta hear the sound of that beautiful V8. It sounds better than the Panamera. It sounds better than the M5. It just, man, for a twin turbocharged car, they nailed the exhaust note in this thing. Visibility is great out of the front windshield. We've got a little bit reduced visibility out of the back with that sloping rear deck lid, but honestly, it is an easy car to drive around town. And when I pushed this thing earlier, unfortunately it's raining now pretty good, so I can't push it too much. There was definitely less body roll. You could feel that more rigid chassis and suspension setup than the E63. It really does feel like a sports car, but with rear seats. Wow, I just put the defrosters on. Those work super, super fast. So I'll be honest, this car is virtually better in every single way than the E63, other than the price. But obviously because it's better, it warrants that extra price tag. Absolutely. It's more special, it's more exclusive, it looks cooler on the road, and it's a little bit more fun to drive, which honestly I wasn't expecting. So as a potential new car, this absolutely fits the bill. I'm enjoying this more than the Panamera Turbo SE Hybrid. Now, obviously that car was super cool because it had that hybrid aspect to it. It could drive in full silent mode, but I don't know if I would ever actually use that. And the hybrid powertrain adds so much weight that you kind of almost end up losing the performance benefits of the electric motors. This, on the other hand, is an absolute beast, and this is not even the S variant, although you could easily tune it without spending that extra $20,000 and get all the horsepower and more. If you are deciding between the E63 and the AMG GT 4-door, I'd say go with this all the way. The only reason I wouldn't potentially get one is because the E63 is very, very similar to this car, but the subtle upgrades in the interior, the sexier exterior, and the better handling make a really, really strong case for itself. The only thing that is a bit of a bummer about the interior of this car is even with the Burmester upgraded audio system, which is the best sound system on the market, hands down. I've got it in the E63, the upgraded version, and it is beautiful. On the E63, because the pillars are less sloped, it's actually got these illuminated rotating tweeters that rotate outwards when you turn the car on. I'm guessing because of the angles of the A-pillars, they weren't able to put that in this car. It's just such a cool feature. I wish they were able to incorporate that. But honestly, the initial turn-in in this thing with that rear wheel steering, it doesn't feel like a sedan. It's actually hilarious. These seats though, they definitely do not hold you in place as well as the sport buckets, but they're so much more comfortable. And if you really are putting miles on one of these, I think it's the route to go. Of course, you get massaging functionality as well, which is pretty cool. Honestly, I really, really love this car. I think it might be the best sedan on the market right now. Oh my gosh. And because it's all-wheel drive, of course, yeah, it's a little bit damp, but we can still have fun. These cars in the rain, even when I took delivery of my E63, I drove it in the snow in Germany. Handles great. Even on Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's, not all season tires or anything like that. Just a really advanced all-wheel drive system. And then of course, the ability to go rear-wheel drive is just next level. I can't wait till the next generation of sports cars. I really feel like, imagine if they had variable all-wheel drive in the next generation of Lamborghini Huracan or the AMG GTR Pro. That would be so dang cool. Because then you're getting the benefits of both systems. People say, oh, all-wheel drive, it understeers. Honestly, if you can turn it off, then none of the downsides come with it. Yeah, there's a little bit of a weight penalty, but to be able to use your car in different situations, and especially launching, these cars have so much power nowadays that launching a rear-wheel drive car, unless it's a mid-engine supercar, you're not gonna get the power down with a rear-wheel drive setup the way you are, obviously, with all-wheel drive. Let's listen to that exhaust note, shall we? Even in the soaking wet, it's able to put 577 horsepower to the ground. Those crackles on downshifts. I think BMW kind of overdoes the pops, but with the V8 and the AMG, oh, it sounds so good. And honestly, the penetration into the cabin, despite this being a very refined luxury vehicle, and you don't hear wind noise and tire noise and other cars driving on the road, you can hear that exhaust note so well. Something that was totally missing from the Panamera Turbo SE Hybrid. It was just a little bit too quiet, but this, oh, this thing is epic. I'm in a parking lot right now, pulling up to get a quick snack, and honestly, this rear wheel steering makes an enormous difference compared to the E63. The E63 is actually a little bit hard to pull into parking spaces sometimes because the all-wheel drive makes the turning radius so large, but this, easy as heck. Click that camera button, then we can pull up the front angle. I love this, so you don't smash that front splitter into the curb. I've gotten way too dependent on that feature. As I was eating, a lot of people who walked by stopped to check this car out. It definitely gets significantly more looks than the E63. The only thing I don't like about the exterior is this right here, the vent on the side, which is clearly fake. I don't know, it just looks a bit cheap to me. And then you get in and you don't care. I love how even the climate control vents have ambient lighting in them. The steering feel in this car is so good. I can't get over it. Well, unfortunately, now comes the worst part of every video, and that means returning the AMG Gt63. I had an absolute blast with this thing. I absolutely love it and think it might very well be my next car. It is just so good looking. Although so is the E63, and comparing these side vents, I think they did a much better job with the one on the E63 than they did on this. Same wheels as mine, only finished in silver instead of black, although these are 21s. Definitely looks better with the bigger diameter. All right, back in the E63, and off we go back home. Bye, future car. And back into my better looking, but significantly more uncomfortable sports seats. Well guys, I'm back home now. I gotta say, I am really feeling the AMG Gt63 4-door, other than how hard it is to say the name. I've stumbled on that way too many times. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like always, please browse the channel and subscribe, and we'll see in a couple months if I end up with that car.